That's a pretty expensive bike. Where'd you get it?
My dad bought it.
Yeah, because bikes like this get stolen all the time, and it's usually kids like you riding them.
Officer, that's my son's bike.
Then explain why your kid is riding a bike that was reported stolen.
I didn't steal anything.
Then we're going to figure out where it really came from.
The late afternoon sun spreads across Oakage Park like honey, turning the grass into shades of amber and gold. This is the kind of place where suburban life happens, where the world feels safe, predictable, and entirely normal. Parents push toddlers on swings. Dogs chase tennis balls. Kids laugh between playground equipment and walking paths. It's a Saturday afternoon, the kind that feels endless when you're 6 years old. Near the center of the paved walking path, a small boy in a bright blue helmet circles slowly on a red bicycle. His name is Marcus, though nobody in this moment knows that yet. He can't be taller than 3 feet, his tiny sneakers barely reaching the pedals. Training wheels rattle softly with each turn, a sound that marks progress, that marks growing up one wobble at a time. Marcus pedals with absolute concentration. His tongue pokes out slightly as he focuses on steering. Every time he completes another lap, he glances backward toward a nearby bench. "Dad, look, Dad, did you see that?" The man on the bench is in his mid-30s. Sharp eyes, dark hoodie, calm demeanor. He has the kind of presence that fills a space without trying. His name is James, though like his son, nobody knows this yet. He watches his boy with quiet pride, the kind of pride that comes from seeing your child believe in themselves. "I see you, buddy," James says warmly. "You're getting faster." Marcus beams. His small chest swells with confidence. He pedals a little harder, the training wheels humming against the pavement as he circles again. This is one of those moments parents live for, the simple ones, the ones you don't realize you'll remember forever. But at the edge of the park, a patrol cruiser slows as it approaches the entrance. Officer Derek Wells is having a routine Saturday shift, 12 years on the force. Solid record, no major complaints. He's seen enough in his time to make assumptions quickly. It's a survival skill, or so he tells himself. His hand rests on the steering wheel as he scans the park like he's scanning a crime scene. The body camera on his chest activates automatically as he opens the door. Boots hit gravel. The camera shakes slightly with each step. Officer Wells surveys the park methodically, the playground, the swings, the basketball court in the distance. His eyes move across the scene with the efficiency of someone who has done this 1,000 times. Then his eyes lock onto the boy on the red bicycle. He stops walking, his jaw tightens slightly. Marcus circles again, completely unaware of the scrutiny. He's lost in the simplicity of learning, in the joy of mastering something new. The training wheels bump softly against the pavement. He laughs to himself, a sound so innocent it should be impossible to question. But Officer Wells steps off the gravel and begins walking toward the child. Each step is slow, deliberate, purposeful. Marcus still doesn't notice, not until the officer raises his voice sharply. "Hey!" Marcus brakes suddenly. The bicycle wobbles. Training wheels screech against the pavement. The boy looks up, confused, surprised. The kind of confusion only a 6-year-old can show, pure, unguarded confusion. Officer Wells points directly at the bicycle. "Where did you get that bike?" Marcus blinks. The question doesn't make sense. "Mine's my bike." "Yeah, your bike. My dad got it for me." Officer Wells scoffs. The sound is immediate, reflexive, dismissive. "Yeah, right." What happens next is the moment everything changes. Not dramatically, not with sirens or violence, but with something quieter and more insidious. The moment when an assumption becomes an accusation, when suspicion becomes certainty. Marcus's small hands grip the handlebars tighter. Officer Wells steps closer. The body camera fills with the image of the red bicycle. "You know, we had a bike reported stolen around here." Marcus's voice is tiny, uncertain. "I didn't steal it." "Then how'd you get it?" My dad bought it. Officer Wells laughs, a quiet, knowing laugh. The laugh of someone who has heard this story before, or thinks he has. Yeah, I don't think so. Marcus glances nervously toward the bench. Dad. Before James can even stand, Officer Wells keeps talking. You expect me to believe a kid like you just got handed a brand new bike. James stands now, not quickly, not aggressively. He walks toward them calmly, his presence somehow making the officer appear smaller, though he probably isn't. James reaches them and stands beside his son. Officer, what's going on? His voice is controlled, steady, the voice of someone used to handling tense situations. Officer Wells doesn't look at him. He keeps his eyes on Marcus. You steal this bike from somewhere. Marcus shakes his head quickly. No. You better tell the truth. I am. James places a hand on his son's shoulder. That's his bike. I bought it for him. Officer Wells turns his head slowly. He looks James up and down. Suspicion immediately replaces any sense of normal conversation. Here is a man, a black man in a park with a child, and suddenly everything looks different to Officer Wells. Suddenly, the question isn't about a bike anymore. You his dad? Yes. You bought this bike? Yes. Officer Wells crosses his arms. From where? A store. What store? Target. Officer Wells laughs again, that same dismissive laugh. Yeah, okay. James's tone stays calm, but there's an edge now, a subtle warning. Is there a problem? Officer Wells points toward the bike again. We had a report of a stolen bicycle matching that description. James gestures toward the training wheels. He's 6 years old. That doesn't mean anything. Officer Wells crouches slightly toward Marcus again. You sure you didn't take this from somebody's yard? Marcus shakes his head harder now. His eyes are starting to water. No. And here's the thing about moments like this. They escalate quickly when someone has already decided what they believe. Officer Wells isn't investigating anymore. He's confirming. He's collecting evidence to support what he's already decided. He stands again, looking between the child and his father. You know something doesn't add up. What doesn't add up? James asks. Officer Wells gestures toward Marcus. Kids like him don't usually ride bikes like this. The words hang there, dangerous words, words that reveal something deeper than a simple bicycle accusation. James's eyes narrow. My experience is catching thieves before they get away, Officer Wells continues, as if explaining himself. But he's not explaining, he's profiling. He's deciding based on what he sees, a young black boy, a new bicycle, a moment in time, and filling in the rest with assumptions. Officer Wells grabs his radio. Dispatch, I've got a possible stolen bicycle recovery at the park. Marcus looks up suddenly. I didn't steal anything. Officer Wells keeps talking into the radio. Male juvenile about 6 years old. James shakes his head. You're unbelievable. Officer Wells lowers the radio and looks back at him. You want to keep interfering. I'm protecting my son. You're obstructing an investigation. James laughs, a short, sharp sound of disbelief. You're threatening to arrest a parent because he told you to stop grabbing his kid. Officer Wells's voice grows colder. You better watch your tone. My tone? James's patience is thinning, but he's holding on. You're the one accusing my child. Officer Wells crouches again toward Marcus. Listen carefully. Marcus sniffles. His small shoulders shake. You tell me where you got this bike. My dad bought it. Officer Wells shakes his head. Wrong answer. James steps forward again. That's enough. Officer Wells stands instantly. You want to step back right now. I'm not stepping anywhere. Officer Wells's hand moves toward his belt. Don't make this worse. And there it is, the threat, the escalation, the moment when a conversation about a bicycle becomes something far more dangerous. James's voice drops lower. You already made it worse. Officer Wells points directly at him. You see this right here. He gestures to the crying child. This is what happens when people like you think you can just take things that don't belong to you. The words land like a physical blow. People like you. That's the real accusation. Not about the bike, about who James is, about what Officer Wells believes people like James are capable of. James's patience finally cracks. My son didn't take anything. That's what you keep saying. Because it's true. Officer Wells shakes his head. You know what? I think both of you are coming with me. James stares at him. You're arresting a 6-year-old. I'm detaining him. For what? Possession of stolen property. James laughs in disbelief. Possession. Officer Wells grabs Marcus's arm again. The boy cries loudly now. Dad. James steps directly between them. You're not taking him anywhere. Officer Wells's voice rises. Step aside. No. Step aside now. No. The park has gone quiet. Parents have stopped pushing swings. They're watching. Phones are coming out. Because something about this scene, a uniformed officer gripping the arm of a crying 6-year-old, doesn't look right. Marcus clutches his father's leg, tears running down his cheeks. He thought I stole it, Dad. James holds his son close. I know, buddy. Officer Wells shifts uncomfortably. He's aware of the attention now, but instead of stopping, he doubles down. You really believe that? James says, looking directly at the officer. Officer Wells points again. That bike was reported stolen. Then check the serial number. We will. Right here. Officer Wells hesitates just for a moment. James kneels beside the bike and points under the frame. There. Officer Wells bends slightly, but instead of checking it, he straightens again. We'll do that at the station. No, James says firmly. You'll do it here. Officer Wells steps forward again. You don't give orders here. James meets his eyes calmly. Neither do you. The officer stares at him for several seconds. The tension in the park has completely shifted now. People are openly watching. Phones are out, recording. And for the first time, Officer Wells realizes he might be on the wrong side of public opinion. But he still believes he's stopping a crime, still believes he caught a thief. He has no idea what's about to happen. He has no idea who he's really talking to. The park is completely silent now. The kind of silence that happens when everyone realizes something significant is unfolding before them. Parents who were watching their kids on the swings are now watching this confrontation instead. 2 teenagers on a nearby bench have their cameras pointed directly at Officer Wells. Kids who were playing basketball have stopped and are staring. Nearly everyone has their phones out. Marcus clings tightly to his father's leg, tears running down his cheeks. Dad, I didn't steal it. I know you didn't, James says softly. I know, buddy. Officer Wells rolls his eyes. Of course you'd say that. James looks back at him. You're scaring him. Officer Wells's response is cold. He should be scared if he stole something. He didn't. That's what you keep saying. Because it's true. Officer Wells gestures toward the red bicycle again. That bike was reported stolen. James's voice remains steady, but now there's something else in it, the calm authority of someone used to being in command. Then run the serial number. We'll do that at the station. You're not taking a 6-year-old to a police station over a bike. Officer Wells steps closer again, and there's an edge in his voice now. You don't get to tell me how to do my job. James's response is measured. You're not doing your job, you're profiling. The word hangs in the air. Heavy, accusatory, true. Officer Wells shakes his head immediately. You people always say that. You people again, James repeats. There's a pattern here, officer. Officer Wells laughs. Oh yeah, what's that? James gestures toward his son. Kids like him don't usually ride brand new bikes unless something shady happened. That's what you said. Those were your words. Officer Wells shifts uncomfortably. I was investigating. No, James says calmly. You were making assumptions, and you were basing those assumptions on what you see, not on what actually happened. Officer Wells glances around the park. More phones, more witnesses, and the body camera on his chest still blinking, still recording. You're accusing a 6-year-old of theft because of how he looks, James continues. That's not an investigation, that's discrimination. Officer Wells's jaw tightens. I'm accusing him because that bike was reported stolen. Then verify it right now. Check the serial number. Officer Wells's hand moves toward his radio. You're really starting to get on my nerves. And you grabbed my son. You accused him of stealing. You used racial language. That's what's really happening here. Officer Wells points at James. You keep talking like you're in charge. I'm protecting my child. You're interfering with an investigation. James sighs slowly. This is unbelievable. Officer Wells leans down slightly toward Marcus again. You want to tell the truth now. You want to tell me where you really got this bike. Marcus shakes his head harder. Tears stream down his face. I didn't steal it. My dad bought it. Officer Wells straightens. Yeah, we'll see about that. James steps forward. That's enough. Officer Wells immediately points at him. Step back. No. Step back now. No. Officer Wells's hand moves closer to his radio. You're about 2 seconds away from being detained, too. For what? Obstruction. For interfering. James shakes his head slowly. You really want to go down that road? Officer Wells smirks. Oh, yeah. Fine, James says. He reaches slowly into his pocket. Officer Wells reacts instantly. Hey, hands where I can see them. James stops. I'm grabbing my wallet. Slow. The body camera tilts slightly as Officer Wells shifts his stance. His hand hovers near his belt. The tension in the park becomes almost unbearable. Parents nearby step even closer because something about this moment feels like it could tip into real danger. James pulls out a leather wallet slowly. He opens it, then flips it around, holding it up. Officer Wells squints at it. What is that? Identification. I didn't ask for ID. You should look anyway. Officer Wells hesitates. Then he steps closer. The camera zooms slightly as he leans in to see what's in that wallet. The badge inside catches the sunlight. Gold, official, unmistakable. Officer Wells's expression changes. His confidence doesn't just disappear, it evaporates. Because what he's looking at isn't just any badge. It's something bigger than he expected. Much bigger. His face goes pale. What is that supposed to be? James holds the badge steady. Read it. Officer Wells leans closer. And for the first time since the confrontation started, he understands that he's made a terrible mistake. The badge reads, Chief of Police. Officer Wells blinks once, then again. He looks like someone who just realized they've been standing on the edge of a cliff. You're kidding. James closes the wallet slowly. No. You're the chief. Yes. The entire park goes silent. Not the silence of a moment, but the silence of a collective realization. Parents stop whisper. Phones keep recording, but nobody's moving. Because the moment everyone knew was coming has finally arrived. Officer Derek Wells just accused the police chief's 6-year-old son of stealing a bicycle. Officer Wells clears his throat. His voice is weak. Well, that would have been useful information earlier. James stares at him. His eyes are cold now. No anger, but something worse, disappointment. You didn't ask. You could have said something. I tried. I told you he's 6 years old. I told you I bought it. I told you the truth. You didn't believe me because of how he looks. Officer Wells gestures awkwardly. You said you bought the bike. Yes. You didn't say who you were. James steps closer. His voice is quiet, but every word carries weight. That shouldn't matter. What do you mean? My son shouldn't need a police chief for a father to ride his bike in a park without being accused of theft. He shouldn't need me to be somebody important to be believed. He shouldn't need to be somebody special to deserve basic respect from a police officer. The words land harder than anything else that's been said. Officer Wells glances at the body camera on his chest, still blinking, still recording, every word, every accusation, every people like you, every kids like him, every moment of this confrontation captured in perfect detail. James gestures toward his crying child. You grabbed a 6-year-old. I was investigating. You accused him of stealing. It matched a report. You said kids like him don't ride bikes like that. That's on camera, officer. That's discrimination, and it's documented. Officer Wells says nothing because he knows that line is on camera. He heard himself say it. He understands the implications. James kneels beside his son. It's okay, buddy. Marcus wipes his eyes. He thought I stole it. I know, and that wasn't your fault. That wasn't about you or anything you did wrong. James stands again, looking directly at Officer Wells. You didn't check the serial number. You didn't ask for proof of purchase. You didn't do any actual investigation. You made a decision based on assumptions, and then you tried to make the facts fit your assumptions. You're blowing this out of proportion, Officer Wells says weakly. James's eyes narrow. Am I? Officer Wells glances around. More phones, more witnesses, and one blinking red body camera, still recording everything. Because now the power has completely shifted. 10 minutes ago, Officer Wells thought he had caught a thief. Now he's standing in front of the police chief explaining why he detained a 6-year-old based on racial profiling. James picks up the red bicycle gently, then looks back at Officer Wells. You said people like my son don't ride bikes like this. You said my type steals them. Officer Wells says nothing. Good thing you were wearing that camera, James continues. Good thing this is all documented, because that's what accountability looks like. Officer Wells keeps staring at the body camera on his chest, that small blinking red light. 10 minutes ago it meant proof he was doing his job. Now it's evidence. Evidence of every accusation, every word, every time he profiled based on appearance, every moment he grabbed a crying 6-year-old child. For the first time, Officer Wells looks genuinely nervous. The police chief looks at him calmly. You said this bike was reported stolen. Let's confirm that. Officer Wells keys his radio with a trembling hand. Dispatch, confirm bicycle theft report at Oakage Park. Static crackles. A few seconds pass. Then dispatch answers. Unit 24, negative. We have no stolen bicycle reports in that area today. The entire park hears it. James nods slowly. So there was never a stolen bike. Officer Wells lowers the radio. It matched the description. What description? Red bike. James gestures toward the park. There are 6 red bikes in this park right now. You targeted one specific bike, my son's bike, because of who was riding it. Officer Wells says nothing. You stopped him, James continues. You accused him of theft. You grabbed his arm. You used racial language. And you did it all based on a report that doesn't even exist. The officer shifts uncomfortably, but he doesn't leave. He doesn't run. He stands there, understanding that his career just ended in a public park on a Saturday afternoon. James kneels beside his son. You okay, buddy? Marcus nods weakly. He thought I stole my bike. I know, I'm sorry. that wasn't right, but I want you to remember something. That wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, and you were brave. James stands and faces the officer one more time. You said kids like him don't ride bikes like that. You said your type steals things. You made decisions about a 6-year-old child based on the color of his skin, and all of it is on camera. Officer Wells looks down at his feet. That footage will be reviewed tonight, James continues. Tomorrow you'll be suspended. Within a week you'll probably be fired, and then there's the lawsuit. Officer Wells's head snaps up. Lawsuit. Civil rights lawsuit against you. Against this department, against the city, because you violated a child's rights, because you profiled, because you grabbed a child without cause. Officer Wells's voice is barely audible. What happens to me? James's answer is cold. Everything you said is recorded. Everything you did is documented. And justice works slowly, officer, but it works. Marcus pedals away slowly, training wheels rattling softly again as he circles the path. The moment should feel normal again. But the atmosphere has changed forever. Officer Derek Wells stands alone in the park now. Well, not alone. He's surrounded by witnesses, surrounded by recording phones, surrounded by the evidence of his own mistakes. But he feels alone. That's the worst part. The isolation that comes from knowing you've been caught, that your words are documented, that your bias is now public record. James stands nearby, watching his son ride his bicycle. The training wheels rattle with each turn. Marcus is gaining confidence again, but slowly. The joy has been replaced by caution. The innocence has been replaced by the understanding that sometimes people judge you before they know you. Officer Wells's radio crackles, but he doesn't respond. He's frozen in this moment, understanding its weight. More phones keep recording. Parents whisper. The teenagers on the bench are already uploading footage to social media. Because this story, a police officer profiling a 6-year-old, being confronted by the police chief himself, is the kind of story that spreads. It's the kind that doesn't stay local. By tomorrow, it will be national news. James approaches Officer Wells one final time. His voice is quiet, but it carries the weight of authority, disappointment, and something deeper. The pain of a father who had to protect his child from someone who was supposed to protect everyone. You said people like my son don't ride bikes like that, James says. You were wrong. And that bias, officer, that's what we're fighting against every single day. That assumption that based on how someone looks, you can predict what they've done, what they will do, who they really are. Officer Wells still doesn't speak. My son shouldn't have to explain himself to you because of his skin color. He shouldn't have to prove ownership of his own bicycle. He shouldn't have to be afraid of the police officer in his own neighborhood. James gestures toward Marcus, who is riding more slowly now, checking backward more often, looking less like a child learning and more like a child who's been scared. Look at him, James says. He's scared. He'll remember this. Every time he sees a police uniform, he'll remember this moment. And that's the real damage here. That's what your assumption cost. Not the bike, not your career. The trust between a child and the people who are supposed to protect him. Officer Wells finally speaks. His voice is hoarse. I was responding to a report. James shakes his head. No, you weren't. There was no report. You were responding to what you saw, or what you thought you saw, a young black boy, a new bike, an assumption that something didn't add up. That's not investigation. That's bias. I didn't mean. Intent doesn't matter, James interrupts. Impact does. You impacted my son today. You made him feel like his presence in his own neighborhood was suspicious. You made him feel unwelcome. And you did it because of who he is, not because of anything he did. Officer Wells's shoulders slump. What happens now? James answers plainly. You're suspended effective immediately. Internal Affairs will review the body camera footage. There will be a civil rights lawsuit. There will be consequences. And maybe, just maybe, those consequences will mean something. Maybe they'll make other officers think twice before making the same assumptions you made today. The lawsuit, Officer Wells says quietly. How much? James doesn't hesitate. $11 million against the city, the department, and you personally. The number spreads through the park like electricity. Parents whisper. Phones zoom in on the officer's face, capturing the exact moment he understands that his life has changed. Forever. Everything you said is recorded, James continues. Every accusation, every time you said people like you or kids like him. Every moment you grabbed my son, it's all there, documented, permanent. Officer Wells glances at the body camera on his chest, that blinking red light that seemed so routine this morning, so normal, so protective of his actions. Now it's his evidence against him. James turns to walk back to his son, but he stops and looks back one more time. You know what the real tragedy is? I've been a police officer for 15 years. I became a police chief because I believed in this work. I believed in the idea that law enforcement protects everyone equally, that officers see people, not assumptions, that we're better than bias. He pauses. Today, you proved I was wrong about that, and that hurts more than anything else. James walks away. He reaches Marcus and kneels beside him. Come on, buddy, let's go home. Marcus nods. He gets off the bike carefully, and James picks it up. Father and son walk together toward the parking lot, leaving Officer Wells standing in the middle of the park. The witnesses begin to disperse slowly. The playground empties. The swings stop moving, but the phones keep recording. Because this story, this moment, this is the kind of thing that people need to see. By evening, the video is everywhere. By morning, it's trending nationally. By the end of the week, Officer Derek Wells has been terminated from the police force. By the end of the month, the city has settled the lawsuit for $15 million. By the end of the year, there's a new police training program focused on implicit bias, on the danger of assumptions, on the importance of actually investigating before accusing. And Marcus eventually learns to ride a bike without training wheels. He learns to ride without fear with his father beside him, teaching him that the world isn't always fair, but sometimes, when you stand up and demand better, change happens. The red bicycle stays with him, a reminder, not of the fear, but of the moment his father stood between him and injustice, the moment someone with power chose to use it to protect instead of to harm. Officer Wells's name disappears from the police roster. He tries to find work in other departments, but his reputation precedes him. The officer who profiled a 6-year-old. That's how he's known now. That's the legacy of one afternoon, one assumption, one moment when a camera never stopped recording. Because that's what accountability looks like when the camera never stops watching. It's not immediate. It's not always satisfying, but it's real. It's documented. It's permanent. And for a child riding a bicycle in a park, for a father protecting his son, for a community demanding better, it's everything. The training wheels that once rattled softly in the afternoon sun were replaced eventually. The fear that was planted that day faded, slowly but surely. And James continued his work as a police chief, carrying with him the knowledge that even the most trusted profession requires constant vigilance, constant questioning, constant commitment to doing better. Because one moment, captured on a body camera, recorded on dozens of phones, is enough to change everything. One moment of bias, one moment of assumption, one moment when someone chose accountability, and a community that finally saw the truth. That's the real story. That's what matters. That's what changed.